Stylistic, hyper-violent action films, they're not unique, but they can be exciting when infused with comic book sensibilities and graphic kills. Bill Skarsgård fully embraces the action hero persona in Boy Kills World. It's dystopian, bloody, and chaotic. But is it any good? When his family is murdered, a boy is trained by a mysterious shaman to repress his childish imagination and become an instrument of death. So chaos reigns in this action thriller. It feels like a mix of a comic book or graphic novel and then a video game, but one with a relatively simple plot of revenge. Skarsgård stars as a deaf and mute young man, simply called Boy, who was trained up as a killing machine after a tyrannical leader murdered his family. Now, the world building for this feels a lot like the Hunger Games, where every year some people are chosen for the culling to keep order and justice. But it's a lot less noble than how the Hunger Games is portrayed to the people of Pan Am. And this is kind of the dollar store version. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because here, the dogmas of the ruling family, they're not important. The crux is that this guy's family was killed, and he's been training for a long time so he can exact his revenge. Now, in addition to Skarsgård, this stars Jessica Rothe, Michelle Dockery, Brett Gelman, Isaiah Mustafa, Yayan Ruhian, Andrew Koji, Sharlto Copley, and Famke Janssen. And then because Skarsgård can't speak, we hear his inner monologue voiced by Bob's Burger voice actor H. John Benjamin. Now this features some exciting and brutal violence. Think Upgrade, The Raid, Gangs of London, and Monkey Man. It's very stylized with phenomenal fight choreography and some very fluid cinematography that captures battles from all angles in seamless shots. The style can become a bit nauseating when drone work is employed because, kind of like in Michael Bay's Ambulance, the flybys, they're intense and visceral, but too much can work against the effect. But if you're looking for the kills, this serves them up in hefty doses. Several melees break out where the body count is monstrous and the savagery that is captured is just grotesquely satisfying. There are bullets galore, axe and sword fights, plus a very unique set of brass knuckles. And then there's also a few inventive ways to destroy a person. Now, most of the pacing for this is energetic and quick. There's not much downtime for the majority of the storytelling. And even when there is an exposition dump, it's usually accomplished through an action montage with a voiceover from Boy. And this keeps everything progressing forward with excitement, violence, and story development. But with that being said, the story takes a massive stop towards the final act. We get a villain monologue that does its best to further the plot, but all momentum is lost in this instant, and then it takes a bit for the story to really ramp back up. And because of the simplicity of the narrative, I'm not sure we actually needed the in-depth bearing of his soul by this character. I mean, after this pause, though, the story does regain its energy, and then it charges towards the finale with engrossing carnage. Now, while Skarsgård gets most of the action focus, a couple of others do get to shine as well. Jessica Rothe and Yayan Ruhian are both spectacular with their fighting. The movements are fluid, focused, and ferocious. And I'm also impressed at the speed in which everybody is able to execute their moves. I mean, it doesn't appear that the film is sped up, but the punches, kicks, attacks, and rebounds, they're all lightning quick. And the camera also doesn't shy away from disgusting imagery. We see body parts explode, limbs removed, and then all sorts of other bodily mayhem that leaves a massive trail of blood and gore. Now, one action sequence in particular features a fight with an opponent who just doesn't know how to stay down. And this is one of the more savage displays of gore and violence. It also infuses a little bit of humor thanks to some clever dialogue. And then another area of humor that worked awesomely was this running gag with Boy reading lips. And this was genuinely funny every time the gag was employed, and they carried it out with perfect dedication. Now, for as much as I was enamored with some of the characters, the interactions, the levity, and of course the action, there's a part to the story that came across as a bit far-fetched. I mean, even for a movie that features a one-man army destroying dozens of attackers and escaping basically unharmed. There was a relational element that didn't sit as wholly believable for me, even though I appreciate what it meant for the story. This part was unexpected, but is either brought about too abruptly or it just didn't feel earned. I am staying away from anything specific because it is a massive spoiler. But there are also some very bizarre visuals in the first half of the film. They fit with the scene, but not too well with the movie overall. The imagery takes away from some of the emotional drama and the torment of our characters, instead showcasing silliness that would fit better kind of in a stoner film. So the basic takeaway from this film is that the plot is simple, features generic and thinly developed antagonists, and the pacing steps on the brakes at an inopportune moment. But the fight choreography, merciless violence, graphic visuals, and exceptional editing help to keep this flowing as an adrenaline-fueled fever dream. This is outstanding for escaping the real world, transporting audiences into a hypnotic ballet of bullets and beatings to make everything else disappear for an hour and 55 minutes. This isn't perfect, and may be a bit stupid, but it's also stupid fun, and I wouldn't want it any other way. There's no sex or nudity, a lot of profanity, and then almost non-stop heinous violence. I give Boy Kills World 3.5 out of 5 couches. So have you seen any frenetically energetic movies lately? Let me know what you watched in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.